Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. It's like a lifeline to a lot of parents going through challenges. And this is over many decades that this has taken place because he's worked in that profession for a lot of years as the district psychologist at the Reed Union School District in California. This is Good Advice Helps with Dr. Allan Philip Gold, who's back on the program with us. How are you doing today?
Okay, thank you. How are you?
Very well, very well. Yeah, a lot to dig into today. It's been a while. We got some emails from listeners, and we're going to get to those in just a moment. We're going to bring back a feature we haven't done in a long time, and that's called What's Really Going On Here? So we're going to give you a hypothetical situation and your thoughts on it. This is hypothetical, but we've seen this come up with some emails, and I'm sure parents have dealt with this before. You ready?
Sure.
Okay. So we have a normally adventurous 8-year-old now is refusing certain things like sleepovers, doesn't want to get on the school bus, wants the parents to stay in the room till he falls asleep, always constantly asks, are you going to be okay? Nothing traumatic has happened that the family knows about, but they can't put the pieces together. What's really going on here?
Good question. Well, obviously, there's some deep anxiety. So I wouldn't guess that nothing happened. Something must have scared this kid. If he's afraid of the dark, if he's afraid of going over to somebody else's house, something scary must have happened to him. Or he must have heard of something scary. Or something might have happened to a friend of his that that he thought, oh, and he's only 8 years old, so he could think, oh, if this happened to my friend, it could happen to me too. So these things don't just happen out of the blue. Something must have caused him to have this, these phobias, So the question would be, what can the parents do to figure this out? I mean, I certainly would. I try to figure out when it started to happen. Was there some event that took place right before then or the day before or something? And is the kid going to school or not? We don't know. If he's got school phobia and wants to stay home, that's another whole issue. So maybe he's afraid of what could happen to the parents. Maybe he thought the parents or one of the parents is sick or somebody would get in an accident. I know I'm babbling on here, but there's a lot of possibilities here when a child expresses unusual fears that were not in his or her past. So I would certainly suggest consulting with a therapist. If the child is still going to school and he or she has a good relationship with a counselor or school psychologist who could begin to deconstruct what's going on here, I think that would be very helpful. But if school is not the place to do it, then I would certainly take the child to, talk to therapists if they're covered by insurance and see if they've had experience with dealing with kids with these kind of fears.
It clearly seems like it is a fear, because he's refusing sleepovers, afraid to ride the school bus, asks the parents to stay in the room, asks them, is everything going to be okay? Something set this off.
Yeah, something set it off. And it sounds like it's, if it didn't include wanting the parents to stay in the room, I would say it would be likely that something social happened. Somebody was mean to him at a sleepover, or somebody was mean on the bus, that kind of thing. But just the fact that he doesn't want the parents to leave him at home, it's another fear. It's not just social anxiety that was created by somebody treating him badly.
So that being said, could it be a something he saw or experienced? Where am I going with that? TV show, movie, heard a news account of somebody, let's say, got harmed, hurt, passed away, whatever it might be. Could this create this, or, in your opinion, it would need to be more than that?
No, I think that, well, I think that's a possibility. I remember when I was 12 years old and I was reading about somebody breaking into a house in Kansas. There was some murders. And
Mm,
I remember very clearly that I was worried that somebody was going to break into my bedroom window in San Francisco. There was no logic to that, but it was news.
mm,
And so kids can be really scared by news. If it's a plane accident, if it's a natural disaster, like those horrible earthquakes that just took place in Venezuela. If
mm.
you're a kid in San Francisco and you know that earthquakes can happen here, they could be scared. Um, so um, it could be. My guess is that it was something more personal, that something did happen to this kid, but that does not negate the possibility of seeing something on the news or television that could be very, very scary. If a kid reads about a kidnapping or something like that,
Sure.
uh, you know, uh, kids have different ranges of sensitivity, and some kids are just more sensitive, and they may respond more reactively to something that they see or hear than other kids. Um, so, if some kids just get scared, they're very worried about what could happen to them um, when they're hearing news or seeing news. Um, but my guess is that something probably did happen directly to this kid.
It's funny you reframed it, and thank you for doing that, because my first thought when I asked that question before, could it be a movie? Could it be a news report? And my brain is saying, well, how could that create this? But got to remember, it's a kid, 8 years old.
Yeah,
They're seeing it differently. We may look at it and see an earthquake and say, "Wow, that's horrific. That's tragic for the people involved." Um, could it happen anywhere? Yeah, it could, but
yeah.
the chances of very minimal. Um,
Right. Well, see, children don't have perspective.
that's my point. Yeah,
You could read about an airplane crash, and if you're an adult, you realize, yes, it's certainly scary if it happens, but you realize how many airplanes fly all over the world every day, and there's no crashes.
sure.
So
Yeah.
I mean, accidents can happen at any time, but if you have some perspective, you'd say, okay, so the probability of this happening is, a small fraction of a percent. But kids, when they see something, they don't have that ability to
Mm.
put things in perspective.
So let's jump in. We got some emails. Instant feedback, steve@gmail.com. Want to thank Chris from Kansas City for reaching out, and says the following. My daughter has become very sensitive to criticism. Even gentle advice from teachers leave her in tears for hours.
Mm.
How do parents help children build resilience without making them feel like their thoughts or emotions don't matter?
Yeah, that is an excellent question, and it's something I worked on with kids for years and years and years. It's
Mm.
all related to self-esteem. It would be very interesting to find out who said what to her. Was it a teacher that made a very negative comment, and she took it very personally? She sounds like a sensitive, thoughtful kid. Um, but again, teachers and school people don't always say the right thing. They don't always correct kids in a way that they can accept. and that's very hard. So it would be great to have a discussion with her, with the daughter, to find out what was said that made you feel so bad, and to really explore her self-esteem. I mean, I'd ask her, tell me three or four things that you really like about yourself. And if she really struggles with that and can't think of anything, then we're dealing with a kid who has no self-esteem. And that needs to be corrected. And to find out how that started. I think it's very difficult for kids in general because little kids, they're always corrected. They make mistakes and they're going to be corrected by their parents, and they're going to be corrected by other adults, and they're going to be corrected by older siblings, and they're going to be corrected by teachers. So I think it's very critical to for the parents to validate that everybody makes mistakes, even adults make mistakes. And if somebody's trying, and to ask her how, if you make a mistake, how would you like the correction to be worded so that you don't feel bad about yourself? Did it say how old this child was?
It does not. Nope.
No, no. Okay. If your teacher wants to correct you and help you, um, do something right that you made a mistake on, how can she talk to you so that you're not going to feel this way about yourself? But I think it's so important that teachers and parents, reassure kids that everybody makes mistakes. And there's nothing the matter with it, and it's an opportunity to learn how to do something that you didn't know how to do. And so
Mm.
again, if she's feeling this way, I would say she needs to, particularly if she can't think of anything good about herself, you know. And I used to worry a lot about kids who, if I asked them to tell me some things that they liked about themselves and they couldn't do it, I would worry about that, and for adults too. And I've seen it in adults. Um, that grew up not feeling very good about themselves, and if they make a mistake, oh, I'm so stupid, I can't do anything right. And I'm not talking about teenagers, I'm talking about 60-year-olds,
Hmm. Mm.
70-year-olds who still have that. So I think for the parents to realize that this is a changeable thing, um, and to try to dig into what made, ask her, when did you start feeling so bad about a correction, and what was said, how was it said that made you feel so bad about it? And um, help her explain to the parents what triggered this kind of reaction.
It really, I'm getting here, Ellen. It's a great point, even just in general, to bring up to your child every once in a while. What do you like about
Does that make
yourself?
sense?
Yeah, it really does. Um, just asking your kids how they feel about themselves. I never even thought of that would be, very impactful. How about this one?
Yeah.
This is Greg from Portland says, my wife and I disagree about discipline. I believe our daughter, who he notes is 11, needs more structure, while my wife thinks she's dealing with anxiety and needs more emotional support. He goes on, it's a little long here. I'm going to paraphrase it. Basically, he's asking, how do families find that balance between the accountability and the compassion?
Okay. Again, a very, very good question. And I think that it's why I suggest that all couples, parents have some kind of, it doesn't have to be weekly, but some kind of therapist that they can discuss this. Because I've talked before about how couples, before they get married or live together, should have premarital counseling. And it's not just to try to figure out, do they share values? Where do they have differences? Where do they have similarities? What are important values? And two people could be very compatible, and then you throw in a kid, and it can upset the whole thing, the whole relationship, because maybe one parent was raised in a certain way and they really liked it and they want to raise their kid that way. Maybe they were raised in a particular way and they hated it and they want to do the exact opposite. So, depending on who the two parents are, how they were raised, what their values were, it's very easy to get into disputes about this.
Mm.
So dad feels that the girl needs more restrictions and more limits, and mom feels she needs more compassion, and they may not be either. Both of them may not be wrong, frankly. Kids need compassion and caring, but they also need limits. So that's where I think talking about this would be really helpful. So to find out where could they compromise? What kind of situation does dad feel that the child really needs some limits? I mean, maybe if she's
Mm.
starting to smoke or drink or, that kind of thing, or has a boyfriend at age 11, and, there needs to be some limits. Maybe if kids are being mean to her um, and she's struggling with school or something, then mom is right. She needs some compassion.
Mm.
Uh, so I think dealing with the particular situations and for the parents to communicate about that in an effective way can really help the child, because children are so clever. They're able to manipulate parents very well.
Mm.
If they know that one parent is more lax, and they'll go to that parent and ask permission to do something, or know that they can do something and not get in trouble for it. Um, Whereas the other parent is going to say, no, you can't do that. So, and kids are very clever. They know.
They'll play you. It's got to be a
They,
united front, and you never want to get into that parent that is trying to be the friend and the parent, but more the friend,
yeah,
and then that pitted against the other parent. And we
yeah.
we didn't even get into the weeds of divorce where that takes place on a regular
Oh, yeah,
basis.
regular basis,
Oh,
sure.
horrible.
Yeah,
Uh,
so, who knows why the father is, maybe he wants to raise the child the way he was raised, and he felt that
mm,
limits were a good thing. Maybe the mother was raised with limits, and she didn't like it at all, and she wants to do the exact opposite and just be compassionate. But it's not to say that it has to be one or the other. I think parents can figure out, when do we need to set a limit. Like if the kid doesn't get off the computer or the phone, or social media, particularly for an 11-year-old, there needs to be limits there. And all the research I'm seeing these days, all about the negative effects of social media on kids. So, yeah, parents have to do that. Maybe mom is scared to set a limit. Maybe
mm,
she just wants to be friends with her daughter,
sure.
and
Yeah.
doesn't want her daughter to be mad at her. But, parents have to deal with, you know, kids that are not happy with certain regulations.
Well, in my experience and views of other parents as well, you put up the boundaries, kids are going to fight them. They're going to complain. They're going to quote unquote hate you, but they really don't. They crave that kind of direction. They're craving the boundaries. They'll never tell you,
No, no, that's right.
but that's what they want. And even within school, all of that, because they don't know any better. They're just kids.
Yeah.
It's easier for them. But of course, they're going to buck the system and complain about it and all of that. Um, Great conversation today. A lot of good stuff we dug into. I want to tell everybody we both really appreciate all of your feedback. Anything you've got going on, even if you're looking to get into the field of school psychology, we've gotten a lot of students that have reached out. You can always find us instant feedback, steve@gmail.com. Alan, thank you so much for being here today. We hit a lot. I really appreciate all the insight.
Sure. So we have to end now?
Yeah, we have to end now.
Okay.
All right. We will talk soon. Okay.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.